we're going to start out. There will be a link here on the MySKC portal page for staff and faculty. Exactly where it's going to be, I can't say. I'm guessing probably somewhere in this region, along with KissFlow and Improve and those kinds of things. That will take you to the Design Conductor home. Once you've logged in, we'll start by creating a new document. So we're left with all of these categories. We're going to create a new flyer. So here's the flyer category that we have. All of those that are in the flyer category. If we want to go back to a different type, we can go here. If we want to see what kind of brochures we've got available, you can see we've got 2 trifolds and then a rack card. A couple of others. Signage. Got a job fair sign. That's an 8.5 by 11 on its side. Some web banners and ads. Simple things. And if you want to do some social media graphics, here's us a couple of social media designs as well. But like I said, we're going to start with a flyer. And let's say we're going to advertise a new course. Name our course Esoterics 101. New course announcement. So it will take a few moments for the document to sort of populate. And then what we're going to be able to do is we're going to hover over areas in the design here that we want to change. For instance, we'll start with an easy one. We're going to change the name of this heading here, newly offered course or program. We can go ahead and click and title it. What did I say it was going to be? Esoterics 101. Whoop. And we also have a subheader, which will edit this one here. These two are linked, so we can edit them at the same time. How's that for wordy? Once we've made the changes that we want to here, go ahead and click Save Changes. And we'll have a new preview generated. So our text has been added. Now we are going to, let's change this photo. So in order to change the photo, we're going to have a photo that on our machine that we want to use. And the best place to find those photos are either already on your machine or those that have access to Design Conductor will also have access to a shared drive called Design Resources. In Design Resources are several different folders. The primary folder that we'll all use, or I should guess the 2 primary folders that we'll use, are the photography folders, and the logos, seal and identity folder. the logos, seal, and identity folder. Most of the time when we use that, we're going to be looking for the department on program logos. Let's see, we'll look here for, so we have all of our different logos here that are being used. Let's see, I know CPW just had some. So each of these, you can see what the logo looks like in your thumbnail over to the right. And if we go to photography, we can see there's several folders here. Every year we do an annual photo shoot. That's where we get the highest quality images. And these are laid out by the years that we've been using them or been creating them. There's also some that have been shot by other folks, including myself. Let's see here, campus photos. So here's some photos of 3 Woodcocks building. There we go, back. So we are going to replace that image, so let's go ahead. I also wanted to point out, stock photos, which are generally photos that we've purchased royalty-free images, and they're categorized roughly into categories of our of what our programs are, except of course nebulous concepts. So you can see this one's sort of generic law for under travel governance and administration. Again, another generic law image. But I'm going to go back to campus photos, and let's see what we got for bookstore. Well, yeah, we'll go ahead and throw the bookstore in there, or this image in there. So in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and download this image to our computer. Now put it into okay. So now we're going to click on this image, and it'll bring up a dialog here. It will show us what we can do with this image. And what we want to start with is to add our new image. We're going to add it from the device. I'm going to point this out really quickly. By uploading this file, I acknowledge that this file adheres to all licensing and use restrictions. Make sure you read this. This is important, to cover SKC's, to protect us, legally, so that we don't end up with any legal issues. Make sure that you have permission and the rights to reproduce any image that you're using. Again, that's why using the images in our design resources folder, those are all approved images, and you shouldn't have to worry about those at all. You don't have to worry about those at all. So where did I say? I was in downloads. So it will upload my image. And now we have a new dialog area where we can move the image around. We can resize it as needed. Granted, this is not the most exciting image that I could come up with, but it's just for samples. This image is not an ideal 300 dpi. It's very close, 256, so it will be fine. If images get too low of a resolution, there will be a warning that says that you cannot use this image. So just keep in mind that you want to have images that are of the highest resolution possible. I know that a lot of older digital images are definitely suffer from just being poor quality. So keep that in mind. All right, so we need to edit our main content here. And again, we just click on this, and it's really easy at this point to start editing away. Like it says, our header. And we're going to add our content here. And I'm going to grab some fake text. Now we can do a couple of different things here. See that there's an image that's already input here for us. We can leave that image there and add a new one, also from our device. So if we want to add an image from our device, again, we'll go back to our design resources folder. I'm going to go to annual photo shoot 2013, and we'll go to graduation. There we go. So again, I want to download this guy. I'm adding this image from the device, from this device. This image size indicates how big the image is going to be, how big this image is going to be right now. Right now it is a small image. If we choose large, when we save it, it's going to be a much larger version of the image. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as small, however, because we don't have a lot of space here to begin with. So once I've selected the file, I'll go ahead and hit Upload Image. And we'll have a similar dialog that we had when we replaced the top main image, where I can zoom way in or zoom all the way out. I can move the image up and down depending on where the excitement in the image is. So once I hit Save, the preview is going to regenerate, and you can see that it kicked this part over here, because now we have two images, and the Design Conductor system will place the next image down that kind of content block, and then it forces this text here to get smaller. So maybe it's not the greatest thing to have that image, these two images together, so we'll go ahead and remove this image. Before we do that, just point out the size. We've got a small image here and a medium image here. So maybe what we want to do is edit this one so that it's a medium image instead. But first I'm going to remove the original image. And we'll get a new regeneration here. You see the font size increased a little bit. So let's edit this guy here. We'll change it from small to medium. And hit a second here. If I hit update, now I've got a large image, and you can see it's super big. So we didn't need to do that. We want to go medium and hit update. Boom. That's much nicer. Now we've got this other text block here. We're going to change our header. Wow. And I'll go back to my fake text orator. And hit save. Now, another couple of adjustments that we can make to these sorts of areas is the alignment. Say we want to center our header. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. Okay, so we can see that our header for this section is left justified. And we have some options here, left, right, and center, which makes sense. And it's pretty self-explanatory. There's probably not a lot of times that you're going to want to right justify it, but there may be times that you want to center justify something. And center justifying a header is not a terrible idea. Generally, when you have large bodies of text like this, it's better to leave things left justified, because our eyes really like to see this clean line here. It makes it a lot easier to read versus if we were to try to say center justify everything. It really makes things difficult to it makes it difficult to read longer sections of text, and it really, yeah, I mean, that's awkward to read. Your eye has to keep going back to different locations on the page, so you're much better off keeping that alignment left aligned. Just to show you what justified looks like. Should be really similar to left aligned. It is very similar to left aligned, but what you end up with, and newspapers use this kind of justification quite a bit, you end up with some odd spacing in the in between words and the letters themselves, and the goal is to make that right hand side as flush as possible, just because it looks neater. But again, it is such an awkward spacing between everything. You can see we've got big spaces up here, and we've got really small spaces down in here. So it isn't doing a very effective job of making this an easy thing to read. So I'm going to go back to left justified and hit save. Okay, so the last area that we want to adjust here is our contact information. So let's say we want our contact information to just say something like contact us at, and maybe a colon. do me. I'm the contact for the non-existent studies department. I'm just going to use our generic number. And let's see here, we'll go and if you have a social media, go ahead and throw it in here. Otherwise, you can just kind of use a generic SKC1 or let's see, SK College. All right, so the last thing that we want to do, now that we've got this ready to go, we're going to want to see, we want to print this out, or we want to send it to a printer. So we'll click on our print ready PDFs, and you should have access to this. It shouldn't only be for admin. This template needs to be adjusted just a bit, and I will do that as soon as I'm done here. Anyhow, we have some options here. We can do full resolution, full size. We can do full resolution trim size. Press ready, 1 up, press ready, 2 up. 99% of the time we are not going to need to mess with the press readies. Press readies, you know, if it's a smaller, say it's a like business cards, it'll give you options to have multiple cards up at a time. But we just want to do this as one. So the design is created with what's called bleed, so that it extends all the way to the edge of the document. And in order to do that in the printing world, you make it larger than the actual document. So this document is 8.75 by 11.25, and that's in order to make a trimmed product of 8.5 by 11. So that's what we're going to want this time. If you're sending this to a printer like Alpha Graphics, who we send a lot of stuff to, then you'll want to use the full resolution, full size, so that way they've got the bleed. So now this is going to download my document here. And I'll go ahead and open that up for us. And here's what our finished document looks like. And we'll show you all of it at one time. There we go. There's our document. Now we can print this. We can send this to the printer, but again, I suggest sending the larger version to the printer instead. Okay, so save, and we are done.